Hi, everybody. Thanks for checking out our video here from Goats on the Go. My name's Aaron Steele. I'm the founder and a co-owner of Goats on the Go. We are a targeted grazing service. We initially were founded in Ames, Iowa, and since then we have added kind of sister goat grazing businesses all across the country. We call them affiliates, and all these goat grazing businesses serve the local communities where they live under the Goats on the Go brand. And I have with me Harmony and Russ tonight. And Harmony and Russ, would you just introduce yourselves real quick, talk about where you're launching your goat grazing business and what your plans are?
My name's Harmony, and Russ and we live in Colorado in the Denver metro area, and we have been working for another goat grazing operation for like 2 years, and we wanted to service a different type of customer. So we found Goats on the Go, and we're really excited.
Russ, what tell us about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, like Harmony said, she and I actually met about 3 or 4 years ago, and went to go at the same time go work for a different company. It was a much larger scale, and we recognized, especially in all of our public facing herding jobs, that we were turning away business almost on a daily basis from drive-by or walk-by people that had a need for the same type of targeted grazing we were doing on a very large scale. And they said, well, can you bring 20 goats? Can you bring 40 goats? Well, that's hard to split off 500 goats and go do that. So we recognized a long time ago that there was a great market for the smaller end properties. And what we lacked was what we can get from Goats on the Go, which is, how do you set up your pricing? And we would have accepted just an answer of, here's your pricing range you should work with, but instead we were taught, how do you arrive at that? So it's a lot of that back end, how to make the business run when you're not standing in a field staring at goats, that we really needed.
So we're talking here on the 6th of May in the middle of the pandemic, and you were able to attend the Goats on the Go training in the first weekend of March, so kind of right before things got really rough with the pandemic. And so you're hoping to launch this spring yet, assuming that the conditions allow that. Do you feel well prepared for that? Is there, or maybe a better way to ask that is, do you feel prepared in the way expected to after training, or were there surprises in the training, things that you hadn't thought of that we tackled?
It was both. I mean, there were definitely some surprises. I know that I mentioned this to Harmony when we left, that I didn't expect it to come away with so many extra things that we needed to do, and that I hadn't thought of, or that we hadn't thought of, and that I expected to come away, I went in there with a lot of questions, and I expected to come away with 20% of those that I still had to hunt down, and I really didn't. We came home with enough material and enough background and contacts and real world stories that we could implement right away. It's everything we needed to get from the experience level we had to our own company that can go do this.
What were your thoughts, Harmony, on the training, and how do you feel here a couple months removed from it?
Oh, well, like I was saying earlier, it was such an amazing experience because, like Russ mentioned, we have all this goat grazing experience, but we had no idea how to bid a job, how to do any kind of customer outreach other than the verbal stuff when the customer walks up. I mean, we learned so much around pricing and just talking to people. Also, the camaraderie with the affiliates and just getting to meet everyone who is passionate about the same things we are was overwhelmingly exciting. Like I can't even explain how just it was wonderful to be around a bunch of goat grazer people that like love goats. They love what they do with the goats, and we're all doing the same thing. And it was lovely to get like talk to different people about what they do in certain situations or how they manage certain things their way, and so full of fantastic ideas.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. You know, one thing that occurs to me is that at that training, we have people from all over the country. Like, you know, you guys are from Colorado. We have folks from California, Texas, Vermont. And so I'm wondering if you had any feedback on, you know, obviously we can't cover the particular vegetation types from every part of the country. We can't cover the landscapes and topographies of all the different types of the country, parts of the country, and then how that would affect how you operate your business. Do you have any worries about that at all, about adapting that information that you were taught to your particular place in Denver?
For me, well, because I've had experience, I don't worry so much about identifying the noxious weeds and things like that. I think I think being able to meet people all over the country, like we talked a lot about predators and different predators, and you know, in Colorado we've got every single predator pretty much except badgers. um, and so that was kind of interesting to get everyone's different perspectives. But I think as Goats on the Go grows, it would be great to have more regional specific kind of breakouts or something on identifying the weeds and you know, on some of the vegetation. Like you guys don't have as much fire mitigation and scrub oak and things like we do, and there's different needs in different regions too. I think, you know, like out here we have a lot of fire mitigation. So I loved that we got like this whole kind of vast perspective on what everybody is dealing with. And I also think it would behoove us in the future to break it down to make those people in those regions even more successful.
Any thoughts from you on
I
that?
actually, yeah, I'd expand on that. I thought that there was some real good matchups, like between here and California. We're a lot more similar to California than we are to, say, even you guys, and you're a 40-minute plane ride away. But we're dry, we're high altitude, which nobody has except for, you know, even California, their mountains aren't as high as ours. So each of the, you could definitely draw regions, but I like the representation across each region. And it was great to meet the people from California, and, you know, they're new to grazing, and they got from us that, you know, we gave them some great tips on how to deal with scrub oak and fire mitigation, which is some of the hardest grazing you'll ever do. But, you know, that's what Band-Aids are for. And I really enjoyed seeing the perspective of grazing where it's always green and where things grow really, really fast. You know, we've got a short growing season here. Scrub oak's not ready to eat yet, except for little tiny bugs that will kill a cow. So that's something else I've learned since class. But no, I really enjoyed the learning about the different things going on in the different regions.
Good, that's great. Yeah, I think one thing we're seeing develop in certain regions of the country, like the Kansas City area is a good example, and kind of that band across central and northern Missouri. We're getting enough affiliates there where we're kind of, everybody's a neighbor to another affiliate. And since they all own their own exclusive territory, none of them compete with each other. And so you're seeing kind of that regional interest start to grow, where they're helping each other out and knowing exactly what each other's problems are and kind of having similar experiences so that they can share information with each other. We'd love to see that go westward too, from Denver all the way out to the West Coast, because it is definitely a different, well, everything's different, right?
Yeah.
The weeds and brush that you eat with the goats are different. The needs of the customers are different. The goals of the grazing itself is different. So we're really excited to have you two working with us, and we're really enthusiastic about pushing westward too. And Harmony, I think that's a great idea. We need to have regional trainings and conferences in the future, and the Western U.S. would just be a really logical focus point for one of those.
Oh,
So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's just a matter of time. Once we get going, you're going to have so many people out here grazing goats. It's going to be incredible.
I'm really looking forward to getting some other affiliates out here, because I'm really confident that there's enough work here for everybody. And there are going to be a lot of opportunities to combine herds.
Yeah.
And do some bigger jobs, which, you know, for people who haven't done big jobs, as you know very well, Aaron, they can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's opportunity in both of those markets. A lot of our affiliates are focused on smaller types of projects.
Yep.
But there are opportunities for medium to large size projects too. And I think one real advantage that Goats on the Go has, especially in places where we have concentrations of affiliates, is that we don't have to have one farm or one affiliate own a herd of 1,000 goats, because if we have affiliates in a concentration in a place, they can combine resources to tackle those big projects as they pop up, and then return to some of those smaller projects that might be the core of their business.
Well,
So,
yeah, and we're, you know, we're here primarily at this point to do the smaller projects. So I don't want to take away from that. That is the focus, and I'm really happy with that. You know, I like the fact that if we've got 40 to 50 goats and we needed to get them somewhere in 12 hours, that is not a problem. We can get them somewhere in 3 hours if we're just sitting there. Whereas if you've got 1,000 goats, how's 2 weeks? You know,
right.
I got to get trucks. So no, the fact that we can get out there and service more customers more frequently, and bring the experience to people. You know, something else that Harmony reminded me of is that what I saw in all of the other affiliates there, especially the ones with a lot of herding experience, was, you know, the goat twinkle. They were all under the spell, and it doesn't afflict everybody, but it's those of us who get it, and they were all in the room.
That's great, and it's a great segue to this last question. I'll get you out of here on this. Is there a highlight from the training that you can remember? Something that sticks in your mind as being a real high point for you?
Is this for me?
Either one.
Yeah, I think when Greg got up to give his presentation, and he had that first, he said, what's the biggest hurdle to getting into this business? And I'm just looking at Harmony, and I knew the answer to it. And when he put up, you know, dirt, where to put goats, it was a weird moment, because it felt like, well, they invited him to speak to Harmony and me, you know, or to speak about our situation. So that was a little magical.
How about you, Harmony?
Yes, I was actually going to say there were 3 things, and Greg was definitely one of them. Like, grit and gumption, man, that's what you really need. And he was spot on there. I won a t-shirt, a Goats on the Go t-shirt, and I'm still super excited about that, and I wear it a lot. I didn't wear it today because it's actually in the dirty laundry. And then the third thing was just meeting people, like-minded people who have the goat glow, they have the passion, they have the excitement, and they're ready to change the world. You know, we're all there to make a difference in the lives of the people who hire us and their land, and it's just so exciting.
That's great. Thanks so much, Harmony and Russ, for sharing some of that with us tonight. I really appreciate it. Have a good rest of your week and go get them, okay?
Thank you.
Right.
You too, Aaron. Goat on.
Thanks, Aaron.